Good evening. A new Sony-published game getting massive backlash as it's removed from more than 100 countries, all thanks to a corporate decision. Sony could also become the new owners of Paramount after a massive all-cash offer goes public. LinkedIn, the working social network, gets into puzzle games. Microsoft preparing for a big summer showcase of games going all out with possibly Call of Duty, and Batman returns to virtual reality after an unexpected exclusive deal. This is the latest in technology, entertainment, and video games all in one. I'm Jason Grewa, and this is The Fresh Wire. Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well, and welcome back to another episode of The Fresh Wire. I think it's episode 39. Thank you to everyone that tunes in. I hope you understand I don't make money off of this podcast, so I do this exclusively as of now for the people that actually listen to this podcast. So if you make it to the full minute and throughout the whole episode, I just know I appreciate it. So we're just going to jump right into some unexpected, somewhat breaking news, as I do with every episode. When a beloved actor, actress, or anyone in the entertainment industry passes away, they are by default the first topic, and Bernard Hill, the actor in Titanic and Lord of the Rings, has unfortunately passed away. The British actor incarnated a humble style of masculine leadership in very successful Hollywood films, passed away Sunday. He was 79 years old. His death was announced in a family statement. Well, some of his most beloved work includes playing the ship's captain in James Cameron's Titanic, and was the ruler of a horseman's kingdom in the second and third installments of the highly beloved Lord of the Rings trilogy. He became the first actor to star in more than one film to gross over $1 billion, and the only actor to appear in 2 of the 3 films to win a record 11 Oscars, the third one being Ben-Hur. He is obviously very beloved, had some prominent roles. He will be deeply missed. His survivors include a fiancée, Allison, and a son named Gabriel. So we're going to jump into one of the biggest topics, and that is Helldivers 2, a very beloved title that released on Steam and PlayStation to insane numbers, critically and by fans and gamers alike. It was a huge deal, and that all just disintegrated. The goodwill, the reputation by Arrowhead Studios, it's all completely gone. And to a degree, it's not the fault of the game developers, rather the publishers. So the whole ordeal that happened is that in recent days, Sony announced that everyone playing the game on PC would soon need to link the game to an active PlayStation Network account. Otherwise, they would lose access to the game that many people have been playing for long, not super long, but for quite a while, some having 90, 100 hours into the game, or if not more. Very well-received title, and yeah, that's a pretty big blow to the game as a whole, especially because PlayStation Network is not in every country. So for people that were playing Helldivers 2, as the game was officially sold in a ton of almost every country in the world on Steam, the PlayStation Network is only supported in 90 countries. So the game has now been pulled from 170 countries that don't have access to the PlayStation Network. That's a huge deal, and a lot of people are refunding the game, and for good reason, especially if you were playing this game and all of a sudden Sony tells you, hey, so you're in a country that actually doesn't support this game, even though you bought the game and played for long enough that you can only get a refund out of it. Well, screw you. Luckily, Valve, who owns Steam, gaming social media, gaming platform pretty much, has given out a lot of refunds. I saw one where someone played for 97 hours, left a negative review, of course, and got a refund for the game. So now, from a little bit of context from what I read, this was actually supposed to have this PSN login requirement from day one, but one of the developers, I think the CEO even, said they removed the restriction a few hours in because the servers were going through so much strain that they wanted to remove any sort of strain creation as they can. And from the looks of it, there's such a huge surprise from this that my belief is there was never a chance for people to even see that PSN login was required, because maybe they couldn't reach that part of the server to find that out, because it was removed only a few hours in to the release of the game. So now they're requiring it, and just a little bit of extra context, PlayStation Network has had a bad rap for good reason. Infamously, back in mid-2011, there was the huge ordeal where hackers were able to access the personal data of 77 million PSN users, including, I don't know if I had one yet, but my brother was able to get a free game. And of course, there was a whole ordeal. I keep saying ordeal, but that really is how it is. A ton of different hacks have been just taking over PSN, and it's just very controversial. I've stopped even paying for PlayStation Plus. I don't really use it anymore. I'm just more of a PC gamer than ever before. But yeah, I mean, very, very disappointing situation overall. I never ended up getting the game or playing it. If I did, I probably would have played it on PC because I don't want to pay for PS Plus just for one game I can play on my high-end computer. But c'est la vie. From what I read as well, the CEO of Arrowhead Studios has said they're talking with PlayStation, or Sony rather, for any sort of compromise or solution because this was playable in more than 100 countries that don't have PSN, and now all of a sudden they can't play it. So hopefully that's resolved at least. Now, the CEO also said 6 months before the game's launch, Sony told them that linking a PlayStation Network would be mandated. So it's not like the CEO is completely out, getting out of this scot-free. They even said it themselves. But it's still obviously a very, very disappointing situation, considering Helldivers 2 was an absolutely beloved game that was one of the best rated games, I think, on Steam, and is now one of the worst rated. It's actually, I think, it's there right by, like, Overwatch 2, which a large majority of its negative reviews were from people that were so disappointed with the launch of Overwatch 2, me included. I think my review is still negative, even though I continue to play it at least every now and then, every week. But, you know, it's obviously really disappointing. And Overwatch 2 is a free-to-play game. This was, I think, a $50 game or so, $40. It wasn't I think it was called a AA title. But again, very disappointing. Hopefully they could just make the PSN linking optional, or it's a huge bust. It's very, very disappointing. Could be the end of the reputation for this game, and hopefully not, but possibly the company as well, and all on something that wasn't entirely their fault. Speaking of Sony, this is a big one. In recent weeks, Paramount has been wanting to, I guess, be bought out, and they've been in recent exclusive talks with Skydance Media. But in the meantime, big twist, Sony Pictures Entertainment and Apollo Global Management, which is a private equity giant, have made a bid to take Paramount private with an all-cash buyout offer of $26 billion. It's a non-binding offer that was offered Wednesday, first reported by New York Times and Wall Street Journal. It would be a premium over the company's current $22 billion enterprise value. This is obviously a huge deal, and it was so big, shares for Paramount Global actually went up because all of a sudden, you know, Paramount could back out of the exclusive talks they have with Skydance Media, which I think should be ending soon. Actually, it ended Friday this week. So, although discussions could extend beyond that, technically speaking, if they're dead set on something that could be even more than $26 billion or something more favorable to Paramount and its shareholders and stakeholders, then they could probably keep going with that, maybe privately or off the record. But if that falls through, Sony and private equity giant are willing to step in and do something that's absolutely crazy. Sony, here's a bit more detail. Under the proposed build with Apollo, Sony would be the majority owner of the combined company. Sony Corporation would merge Sony Pictures Entertainment into a joint venture with Paramount Global. Sony and Apollo would both contribute cash to finance the deal. And, of course, one of the biggest, what's going to happen is the 28 local TV stations that CBS owns, one of which in my local market, the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, rules bar foreign entities, which in this case, Sony is based in Tokyo, Japan, so it bars them from having majority ownership control of broadcast TV stations. So Sony would need to carve out a separate U.S. ownership structure for the station group. Now, I definitely have some beliefs. I would hope Sony doesn't mess up and combine it with a very well-known there are some well-known groups that own a bunch of different TV stations that I won't name, but they're very controversial, and hopefully Sony doesn't maybe do a deal with one of those. But they will have to in this case. They can't own it legally, these 28 stations, and that's a big deal. Keep in mind, Paramount owns a lot. You know, SpongeBob, MTV, Nickelodeon, CBS. They played the Billy Joel concert a few weeks ago. It's a big difference. Big a big deal. And I don't know how I feel about it. I don't like monopolies or oligopolies or whatnot, or duopolies, any opoly almost. I like the board game. But this is a big deal. I mean, I don't know if I want a company that owns CBS content, not the stations, SpongeBob, the rights to Spider-Man. No, I don't know. It's a lot to take in. Paramount Plus would be Sony content. I mean, I don't know. It'd be a huge thing. Another huge thing that I won't get into too much because of how fast it's developing is the current beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, dropping each other diss tracks on each other. A lot of what's being said in them is so explicit. I don't want to talk about it too much here, but I definitely know about it, so you don't have to remind me through any sort of commenting and whatnot. But as far as I know, Drake actually just released a new track of his own. The Heart Part 6 is a reference to, what Kendrick Lamar released a while back. I think the Heart Part 5. But yeah, it's getting pretty sincere, and I don't know how it's going to end up. Now that Drake responded, I do anticipate Kendrick Lamar to respond very soon, and maybe I'll have a more concise attempt at explaining what's going on next episode, assuming someone gives up. Now, from what I've listened to, I mean, I'm not one to take sides as a journalist, but Kendrick Lamar has been giving much stronger bangers, in my opinion, very wordy in good ways, and if I had to bet, and I'm not a betting man, I think Kendrick Lamar will probably win whatever's going on here. A big update on Spotify that I've been talking about every now and then involving lossless audio seems to suggest from a leak that they are getting there, or almost there. What used to be called Spotify Hi-Fi now just seems to be called lossless and could be part of this supposed Supremium plan, which please, Spotify, if you're listening, and I know you're not, but if you are, don't restrict lossless audio to a brand new, more expensive tier. You just raise the prices, or at least you're going to raise them again, if not already. Some of your plans, it'd be ridiculous to just introduce yet another one. But anyway, the leaked UI elements suggest lossless audio of streaming quality wise of up to 1411 kilobits per second. Theoretically, another element leaking showing up to 2117 kilobits per second, which according to this article by The Verge, they calculated it as 15.9 megabytes of data per minute. Absolutely insane. Limited songs will have the FLAC audio format at some 24-bit 44.1 kilohertz audio, which is supposed to be really good. And there's even allegedly going to be a compatibility tracker to determine that if you're getting the best experience or not. For example, if you use a Bluetooth device, you might not get the full experience of lossless audio, and you would be prompted to use either wired devices or listen wirelessly via Spotify's feature. So, of course, because these are leaks, part of the latest version of Spotify's app, these are only visual UI elements, things really working yet. But wow, 3 years of broken promises, straight up ghosting, no talk, just leaks, and it could be that Spotify is finally getting to that point where they're going to show something off, and I hope it's good, and I hope I don't have to pay a penny more. Snapchat. I don't really talk about Snapchat much. They don't do a whole lot outside of being controversial with its premium plan of its own, I think called Snapchat Plus. Well, now they're finally catching up with the times, and you'll be able to edit your message after sending. New features soon to introduce, including editing that are unread, a new AI reminders feature, because who can't get enough of AI, emoji, reactions, and more. So if you want to fix up a typo that you just noticed right afterward, now you can do so, or at least soon. Snap, the company that owns Snapchat, says the feature will come first to Snapchat Plus subscribers. Hopefully that come around to free users. There's no way I'm paying for Snapchat. And of course, like I said, AI features to go along with the AI chatbot it launched, powered by OpenAI, makers of ChatGPT last year. Now you can ask My AI, the name of the chatbot, to remember important deadlines, and it will set up a countdown so you won't forget. Additionally, Snap will now let you generate custom clothes for your Bitmoji using AI. And AI lenses will let you create a Polaroid-style 90s version of yourself just by providing a selfie. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, AI clothes. We've reached that point. I'm not sure when it's going to launch, but it should be in the... Now, here's another crazy one. LinkedIn. Yeah, crazy and LinkedIn. That totally never is connected with each other. Anyway, shape, or form. They are launching 3 puzzle games, Pinpoint, Queens, and Cross Climb, on both desktop and mobile. So a social media network based around work and finding a job and hopefully not much else will now have 3 games. You can play each one once per day, so kind of like Wordle, except a different style. Kind of like the games that New York Times has in general. And you get all kinds of access to metrics, there's leaderboards, and you can even see who in your network has also played the game. The games are pinpoint, word association, cross climb, trivia with clever wordplay, and queens. Merely Sudoku without numbers. You place queens on a grid such that no queens touch each other, and there's a single queen in each row and column. Okay, so, mixing things up a bit, I guess, wherever you can. I don't think these don't cost money. LinkedIn is not charging for these games yet, but it is a way for users to remain engaged on the platform, which makes sense. LinkedIn, you want to go in, apply to a few jobs, and get the heck out of there. I don't blame them. Or you could be like some others and post some very strange posts that are meant to continue with engagement, but not many do that unless it's for personal intention. Now, onto Xbox, and they're showing off what's going to be probably some fantastic games. I mean, Microsoft has been going all in on developing but not releasing, which is funny. And then they acquired Activision Blizzard. So now, June 9th, they will be doing an Xbox Games showcase with what's going to be, and this is something they're trying to hype up and tease, and not actually reveal it, just say a beloved installment of, the next installment of a beloved franchise. It's Call of Duty. They're doing a Call of Duty Direct right after it. So it's a big deal. It's going to happen Sunday, June 9th. And yeah, first Xbox showcase to feature games across Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, and Microsoft's own Xbox Game Studio. Also, someone from The Verge says that Microsoft is currently planning to announce a new Gears of War title during the show, and a number of other release dates for other upcoming games, including Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. It's been a while. Avowed, and Indiana Jones and The Great Circle. So a lot of excitement going around. Maybe Microsoft is finally hoping to turn the tide with a bunch of new reveals, but we'll have to wait and see. Something we won't have to wait and see is the Arc browser, a brand new browser that takes on a whole different things of features and changes to taking on, the big baddies of Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Mozilla Firefox. And yeah, it's a whole bunch of different changes. It's a brand new experience, trying to minimize browser clutter. You have a sidebar instead of a row of tabs. It's definitely a work in progress, and I think they call it as such. Developers say that Arc will continue to evolve every week, so they can reach parity with the distantly released Mac OS. And it's pretty exciting. I mean, more competition is always good, but it's still deeply unfinished. And a few months ago is when I turned my tide and moved from Google Chrome against my will to Microsoft Edge. Now, why do I say against my will? My computer decided to have issues with Google Chrome, and no traffic was loading. Not a byte of internet data was going through my Google Chrome browser. Edge was working perfectly fine. I gave in and decided, well, it's either this or do a factory reset. Funny enough, I just recently did a factory reset, so now I could try it again, but I'm so used to Edge, and I actually kind of like it. Microsoft Edge. Big surprise, I know. What's also a surprise, but not a surprise at the same time, as I talked about in an earlier episode, the European Union has ruled a bunch of new limitations, or rather restrictions, on Apple on how to control the monopoly for their iPhones and iOS, and now iPads are joining in on that requirement. Apple now has 6 months to make iPad OS comply with the Digital Markets Act, or face fines of up to 10% of its global revenue. So obviously, it's going to follow through with the DMA. And yeah, Commission found in its investigation, iPad OS users logged into the platform, noting the number of business users exceeded the quantitative gatekeeper threshold by, quote, 11 times, unquote. And yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. It's part of the same ecosystem. A little bit of good news for people in the EU. Epic Games is saying that Fortnite, as a result, will return to EU iPads, because you'll be able to download apps from outside the Apple App Store, uninstall preloaded ones, and select different default services like browsers. So, all in the name of the Epic Games Store, as it's already coming to iPhones in the EU, will now also come to iPads. If you are outside of the EU or Europe, you will continue to have to stream Fortnite with a browser. Now, a bit of a bad news bearer, just to get out of the way. If you're a subscriber to Peacock, be prepared for a $2 price increase. The price hike starting July 18th for new customers. Existing subscribers will see it August 17th. That does mean the ad-supported premium plan will go from $5.99 to $7.99. Premium Plus, $11.99 to $13.99. Now, this is on top of Peacock raising its prices for both of its plans last year, and that was after it took away free membership for new users. I actually don't know if people that are still free users can even do anything with it. It's been a while since free membership was no longer able to be acquired as a new subscriber. But yeah, they're likely seeing the opportunity for a price hike as the Olympics is this summer, kicking off July 26th. So just days after new users will have to go through the price hike. But luckily, I guess before it goes in for existence. There you go. Now, also, this price hike is a bit annoying, but we don't know yet their plan for password sharing, so at least there is that. Chrome OS, an operating system I don't talk about much, has just got a bit better. The operating system used for Chromebooks just released its newest version, 124. It includes faster split-screen setup and a new web traffic prioritization feature. In other words, every now and then, features that you can optimistically hope for Google Chrome usually make its way to the fully controlled by Google operating OS. For example, with the faster split-screen setup, familiar to Windows users, when you snap an app to one side of the screen, previews of other apps on the other side. So yeah, something that's been in Windows for quite a while. That's also very useful. Google also adding the Wi-Fi quality of service to Chrome OS. So now your Chromebook will prioritize things like video calls and online games when your Wi-Fi network is congested. A big win-win for everyone. Also, a redesigned Chrome OS settings app that features more of the new Material U design. And yeah, it's rolling out now. If you have a Chromebook, you can go to Settings about Chrome OS and check for updates. Now, before I enter the AI subject, rather than futurology this week, I definitely have to go into the big thing of VR. Every now and then I talk about VR, something crazy happening with virtual reality, and Meta decided to do something nuts. Batman Arkham Shadow has been officially announced, and it is a Meta Quest 3 exclusive. Meta Quest 3, one of the first big titles to be exclusive to Meta's latest and greatest VR headset, which they've said, will eventually happen. That eventual is today. Batman Arkham Shadow, made by the developers of Iron Man VR and Oculus Studios, developing the game set to release later this year. Not much of it was revealed besides the teaser trailer, so it's not certain how gorgeous this game could look. Batman Arkham titles were known to push the boundaries of the consoles it was on. That's why it had a lot of issues in its later titles, but I remember one of the Batman Arkham games that I played through, and it's, it can be a gorgeous title. This is the second time that the Batman Arkham series has received the VR treatment. In 2016, Rocksteady Studios released Batman Arkham VR on the PlayStation VR before porting it to other VR headsets. This is set to release exclusively to the Meta Quest 3, as I mentioned, later this year. And, of course, with another big big game showcase, Summer Games Fest, Meta said more details can be expected then. That's happening June 7th, and I will very likely have a full special on Games Showcase around that time, early to mid-June. Now on to VR. Two big topics, and I just want to get into them. One on slowing down, another on speeding up. First on slowing down. Microsoft actually giving it a bit of a pause on introducing new features to its Copilot AI in Windows 11. This is ahead of its AI event happening May 20th. They're now pausing public tests of updates for its latest and greatest, brand new, bit of a glitchy one, Windows Assistant. They said this in a recent Windows Insider blog post, quote, "We have decided to pause the rollouts of these experiences to further refine them based on user feedback." So if you have the feature, which a lot of Windows 11, Windows 10 users do, it will work as it is probably for the foreseeable future without anything crazy happening to it. Now, remember, as I said earlier, an AI event held by Microsoft is happening May 20th, which could allow them to show something crazy, something bold, ambitious, exciting, which all doesn't really represent AI nowadays. Keep in mind, they said earlier this year that 2024 is the, quote, the year of the AI PC, unquote. And they even went as far as to introduce a Copilot key on newer Windows keyboards. So they're already exciting people up that something crazy is probably going to happen soon. What will happen? I mean, maybe a few bug fixes here and there, and then, well, May 20th, we just gotta hope, if you're an AI enthusiast, that they're gonna do something crazy. I hope they do. AI has been getting a little bit boring and a little bit too data accessing to be as boring as it is, which leads me to the final topic, NVIDIA with its AI chatbot now supporting a new model by Google, the Gemma model? Not sure. Voice queries and more. If you don't know, NVIDIA has something called ChatRTX, which is a chatbot that you can run locally on your computer if you have one of NVIDIA's newer RTX GPUs. It's already been using two different large language models, or LLMs, to look into personal documents you feed into it, but now it has grown to larger and other supported AI models own. Now keep in mind, it's a big download, 36 gigabytes, but it's something I should probably check out myself, maybe get back to you guys on it in a future episode. And NVIDIA has integrated Whisper, an AI speech recognition system that lets you search your data using your voice. Man, that's creepy and cool at the same time, which represents AI as a whole. That'll be it for me this week. Thank you all for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves and have a good morning, afternoon, evening, day or night, however you are, however you live.